Religion is a well-explored topic within the horror genre, whether it's the pagan rituals of 1973's The Wicker Man, or the blatantly allegorical narrative of Darren Aronofsky's Mother. The subject has been covered from just about every angle, and if you're familiar with these types of films, then you're likely to come into Saint Maud with a certain set of expectations. Rose Glass's debut successfully subverts those expectations, though, by taking a very nuanced approach to the subject, one that, while subtle, dramatically impacts the way in which religion is portrayed. What's more, this portrayal shifts the focus from Faith to Maud herself, whose arc gradually becomes equal parts horrific and tragic. The Judeo-Christian religion of Saint Maud is a facade, hiding the real problems affecting our main character. I think it's easy to cynically interpret religion's role in a film anytime it is heavily featured. God only knows it's been done before, but Glass isn't interested in things like hypocrisy or even blind faith. She's interested in trauma and loneliness. We don't know much about the film's eponymous protagonist, but we are given a few insights. In the opening scene, we see Maud sitting in a hospital room covered in blood. She's just accidentally killed a patient. Sometime later, she discovers religion and comes back into her own, at least enough to start working as a nurse again, although this time she's practicing in-home care with a woman who is dying of cancer. However, while Mauds Faith initially comes off as overly enthusiastic, we quickly realize that its role in her life is much more sinister. Mauds Faith is extremely conditional, meaning she's only into religion for its potential rewards. Ask not what you can do for your God, ask what your God can do for you. That kind of thing. This is exemplified throughout the film. Maud's prayers are met with an almost orgasmic euphoria, which Glass herself refers to as godgasms. This conflation of faith with sexual gratification exemplifies Maud's warped view of religion, specifically in the way that she expects her faith to act as a guide through each and every aspect of her life. This ill-advised interpretation contrasts deeply with her response to losing her job later in the film. After being fired, she quickly drops her faith and chides her former savior, questioning if he's really all he's cracked up to be. Furthermore, Mauds Faith is also misguided. Not one priest, nun, reverend, or preacher makes an appearance in the film, so Mauds Faith is based completely upon her own individual interpretation. And in addition to the aforementioned conditionality of her beliefs, she also fetishizes the suffering of Christ, the saints, and Mary Magdalene in particular. We see this when she kneels before her altar on popcorn kernels, when she puts nails in her shoes, and when she burns herself on a stove. More evidence of Maud's religious misguidance can be found in her internal monologues. Early in the film, she sits in a cafe and wanders around town, lamenting the filth and sin around her, assuring herself that she in fact is better. Later, when she comes to care for her patient, she takes it upon herself to save the woman's soul, and even though it's not explicitly stated, it is implied that Maud believes this task will bring her closer to God on a divine level. Meanwhile, she's really depriving a severely terminally ill woman of alcohol, sex, and anything else that might make her final days a little more bearable. At this point, all signs point to Maud being a religious zealot, someone who's taking things a little too far. But we've already established that Maud's perspective on faith is both shallow and uninformed, so she's less Margaret White and Carrie and more Ernst Toller in First Reformed, not an angry zealot obsessed with forcing faith onto others, but a confused narcissist desperately trying to cure disease with the wrong medicine. Maud's dependence on religion represents nothing more than her failure to properly address her trauma. When she accidentally killed her patient, she also killed her perception of herself, which sounds like a stretch, but it makes a lot of sense when you find out Maud's real name is Katie. The presence of a previous name suggests the presence of a previous life, one where Katie was a nurse who had friends and flings, a different person altogether. One Google search will tell you that Maud is an old German name, meaning powerful battler. Maud giving herself a new name, especially one with such strong meaning behind it, illustrates her desire to distance herself from her past and the person she used to be, even if that person is still very much a part of her. This all results in the dramatic deterioration of Maud's mental health, a deterioration that is exacerbated by her struggles to relate to other people. One of my favorite details in the film is a book of paintings by William Blake. The book is given to Maud by the patient she's caring for as a gift. It's only shown a handful of times, but its significance to Maud is profound. Its paintings adorn her altar, and its philosophies adorn her mind. William Blake famously rejected organized religions. He saw them as a form of social control. His views are also a lot more nuanced than that, but because Maud stops there, we will too. Because this little nugget of philosophy confirms Maud's growing bias in favor of isolation. This isolation peaks when she's fired for assaulting Amanda, the woman she's caring for, and from this moment on in the film, Maud's mental state gradually decays as her relationship with Amanda, however strange, was really the only thing keeping her grounded. When she's no longer allowed to see Amanda, she spirals, first into a night of heavy drinking and a sexual encounter that turns into a sexual assault, and then finally, into full-on hallucinations. I've already mentioned the godgasms, but it's not until this point in the film that Maud's hallucinations take on a visual form. First, after her assault, she goes through a godgasm so intense that she imagines herself floating above the ground. Afterwards, her faith is restored, as well as her determination to save Amanda's soul. Maud's hallucinations finally culminate when she breaks into Amanda's home in the middle of the night. There, Amanda tells Maud that there is no God. Moreover, she suggests that Maud knows this and that she's known for a long time. Again, this reinforces the idea that Maud's religion is a desperate attempt to heal her trauma. Maud cries at first, but then, through a terrific jump scare, hallucinates Amanda as a demon. You can guess where it goes from there. Covered in her former patient's blood, Maud returns home, washes herself off, and wakes up to find 2 angel wings emanating from her back. She's now completely detached from reality. The wings glow brightly, and she feels closer to God than ever before. In this moment of clarity, Maud takes this as a sign to head to the beach, douse herself in gasoline, and set herself on fire, her final step towards divinity and being one with her savior. Rose Glass's use of religion in her film is ironic. In a more straightforward horror film with religion as a major thread, faith might play the role of the antagonist. Think of Cardinal Richelieu in Ken Russell's The Devils, or the aforementioned Margaret White in Carrie. However, it stands to reason that it's Maud's struggle to address her trauma and her tendency to close herself off that lead her to her tragic end, and not her misinformed faith. Like Ernst Toller's obsession with environmental activism and Travis Bickle's mission to save a child prostitute, Maud is using something ineffective to fill the void left by unaddressed trauma, and also like Toller and Bickle, those unaddressed traumas fester until leading the characters they affect to one inevitable conclusion: violence. Perhaps if Maud attended church, interacted with the congregation, and or spoke with a priest, things might have ended better for her. Maybe Maud's former colleagues should have made more of an effort to reach out to her after her accident. It's impossible to know if any of these factors would have had a positive effect on her, but they do suggest that Maud's circumstances are the result of a perfect storm, one in which everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong. And while Glass's film is indeed effectively horrific, it's also sad. Maud is not an evil villain who needs to be vanquished. She is an unwell woman who needs friends and a therapist. We've all dealt with loneliness at some point in our lives. The thought of being alone, unloved, and invisible to the world is a very real and rational fear, because as the film shows, all it takes is one bad day for everything to fall apart. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment, leave a like, and or subscribe even. It would mean a lot to me either way. Also, I know this video focused a lot on the themes and meaning of the film, but it's also just a really solid horror movie, and I'm very excited to see what director Rose Glass follows this up with. So, until next time, thanks again everyone. Peace.